start off, I also carry a spray primer. I don't have one of those today, so I'm going to use this and see how it wears. Let that get on. All right. All right. Today I'm going to use the Photo Focus foundation in soft beige. They do carry this line of foundation in a dewy formula, but I don't have that formula just yet, so I'm going to use what I have. Now this is a great foundation, really inexpensive, and it wears really well. So I'm going to start blending that in with a brush. May have to do another layer. Buffing that in, stippling motions down my neck, get my forehead. Oftentimes, if you have like Target Cartwheel, well, the Circle app now, it used to be called Cartwheel. If you have that app, sometimes Target will do sales, they'll do a discount on, you know, their Wet n Wild products, 15% off, 20% off, or they'll do, you know, different things. Like if you spend $20 in cosmetics, you get a $5 gift card. You know, those are really great ways to get, you know, different kinds of makeup and save some money, especially when they're doing the gift card, because then you can come back and use that gift card at a later date. I'm just putting on another layer just to build up the coverage a little bit. The first layer was a little light for me, and I like it more medium coverage. All right. That is all blended out. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with this double-ended contour stick. This is a highlighting and contour duo. I am going to use the light side as a concealer. Just doing a little bit. Today I am going to a winery for my friend's birthday, so I want to make sure that I look nice for any pictures that we might take. It's a beautiful winery here called Upper Shirley Winery. They have a beautiful porch that you can sit out on and look out. There's a pond, forest. Now I'm using the foundation brush to kind of stipple that in. Just to buff and blend in. Alright. Now I'm going to take the contour side and bring some warmth into my face. I like this contour stick a lot because compared to the other one that I use often, the Physicians Formula contour stick, that one is very warm. And this one is also a warm tone, but it's a little bit cooler than that one is. Just a tad bit cooler. Well, guess I'm gonna have a crooked nose today. That's alright. I'm gonna blend that in. Circular motions. Now this is a good trick to do if you have a powder bronzer. You know, you can start off with a little bit of contouring with a cream contour like this just to lay down a foundation, to lay down some color. And then you can go over top with your bronzer to help bring some more warmth, to help layer it up so that will give you a beautiful bronzed skin look. I don't always do that. Sometimes I just do the cream. Sometimes I just use powder. But then there are also times where I double up. So going to use that highlight side again. Just do a little bit more right here. I'm also going to take that onto my eyelid and use that as a eyeshadow primer. Alright, so now I'm going to use this contouring palette from Wet n Wild. This is the Dulce de Leche shades. This is a really good duo contouring palette. I really enjoy this one. I'm going to use this highlight side under my eyes to brighten and set. So it actually looks like those combo with the highlighting side of the contour stick, and the highlight side of this is actually not brightening, it's more setting and darkening it a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Where it was a little bit bright is now darker when I added the powder on top. So something to keep in mind with this particular powder is that it might darken up your concealer. At least it did with the highlight end of the contour. Now I'm going to go in with the Photo Focus pressed foundation powder, and I'm just going to do that all over the remainder of the face to set. As you can see, I'm kind of doing buffing, a little bit of patting and stippling. Just really swirling in the pan. Now, if you aren't really into makeup, but you wanted to do a full face of makeup and just have a full face of makeup if you have a special occasion or anything, I am going to be putting together a bunch of makeup to make a video for people who don't really do makeup but want to have some inexpensive options to do a full face. But this brand, Wet n Wild, is great, and it is really, you know, affordable. And so this is definitely a great way to go if you really don't do makeup often, but you want to have a full face of everything. So now I'm going to go into the contour side of this. Get my brush nice and saturated. And I'm going to start by tapping and bring it up. Wet n Wild's bronzers are really good. They're easy to blend. They're buildable. As you can see, I started by tapping and then buffing to soften the lines. Tipping back in. I also like to dust off when I'm bronzing my brush, especially if it looks like there's a lot of powder kicking up on the brush, just so that when I'm laying the color down, I'm not putting, you know, straight pigment. I want it to be a soft effect. I want to be able to build it up. And sometimes if you don't dust off the brush and you have that extra pigment there, it can make things look too bronzy too fast. And I like to take my time to make it exactly how I want. So I'm blending down the neck here. All right. So now I'm going to move into blush here. Now this is the Wet n Wild Color Icon blush. They did repackage these blushes. Now they're circular. I'll pop a picture up on the screen here. This is in Pearlescent Pink. This is a beautiful, like, corally pink shade. Has a slight shimmer to it. But a lot of people believe and say that this could be a dupe for the NARS Orgasm blush. They're very similar, I will admit, but I think that the NARS blush is a little bit more pinky than corally. But I will do a side-by-side effect of those in an upcoming video. That way you can see and tell for yourself what you think. If you think that they're a good dupe, or if you think one is more pink than the other. But they do have the similarity of the little light shimmer in it. All right. I'm gonna take whatever's left on the brush. I've been really liking putting blush and bronzer right here in this area. Lately, it really kind of gives a sunned, bronzy, sun-kissed look. So if you feel like you went a little heavy-handed with the blush, because that blush can be very pigmented, you can take your powder brush and just dust over it, and that will soften things up a little bit. Alright, so now I'm going to hop into highlight. So today I'm using their highlighting powder and Precious Petals. Their highlighters are great as well. You know, like I said, Wet n Wild is just really affordable, and they have some banging products. You know, you can find some really good stuff with Wet n Wild. Alright, just lightly on the top of my cheekbones, whatever's left on the forehead, dipping back in and repeating on the same side. I really like this highlighter because it's just really soft. Alright, gonna dab a little on my nose, top of the bridge, and a little bit on my Cupid's bow. So now that I've finished with my powders, I'm gonna do a quick eye look. I'm gonna keep it fairly simple. Now these Color Icon eyeshadow palettes, you know, they have a 4-pan palette that's great. You know, they have these. These are awesome. They're affordable. They have a few different shade selections. Here I have Rosé in the Air, and Nude Awakening. I think I'm going to dip into both of them. Well, I think maybe Nude Awakening is going to go with what I'm wearing today, more so than Rosé in the Air. So I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to take this top transition shade up here, and I'm going to start to build that up into the crease. I'm just going to do something really simple today, doing windshield wiper motions right in my crease, just to start laying down the color. I'm very interested in seeing how this natural setting spray wears as a primer. They do have sprays that are like 3-in-1 primers. This one is not that. This is just a setting spray, but it's a great setting spray, so I don't see why it wouldn't help things when it comes to priming. Just building that color up a little bit more on this side. Oh, forgot to blend in the contour right under my lip. That's a great technique. Scott Barnes does that technique. I will be doing some videos. I'm going to be starting my Inspired by videos here soon. I think I'm going to start with Tati and do an Inspired by Tati video first, because when I first started watching YouTube, she was the one I started watching first. I watched her videos. She does a lot of great drugstore videos. You know, when she started her channel, she did a lot of coupon and deal shopping, you know, going into the store, drugstore, and buying, you know, full face of makeup with a deal. You know, CVS, Walgreens, Target, they all have good deals. You know, so if you just follow their weekly ads, follow their coupons, you know, you can find the makeup fairly inexpensive. She used to do that a lot. Alright, so now I think I'm going to take this gray color, this other transition, down here at the bottom. I'm going to use that on the outer corner just to deepen it up a little bit. Anyway, so Scott Barnes does this technique. He did that when he did his video with Tati, and now I start doing it because I feel like my lips are very thin, so I like contouring under here to make them appear larger. Alright. The great thing about this palette, these Wet n Wild eyeshadows, yes, I do dust my brush off. That's just kind of a habit of mine. When it comes to doing eyeshadow, bronzer, blush, I always dust off my brush, but there really isn't a lot of fallout, so I was able to do my makeup first, and I'm not really having to worry about any of the eyeshadow pigment falling down for me to clean up, which is great. If anything, I'm going to clean up the sides just a little, but that's really easy, and that's not because of fallout, that's just because I want my eyes to appear more lifted. And sometimes, as you can see right here, the blending has caused it to come down here just a little bit. But that's okay, and it's easily fixed, and I'll show you how to fix that. Alright. Now I think I'm going to take this. I think I'm going to take this shade right here and just start dusting it right here, just blending out the edge a little bit. Now this one doesn't appear to be super shimmery, but I think it does give a little bit of a sheen. I am going to use a shimmer to lighten up the inner corner. Now I know a lot of people, you know, they don't like using their hands when you're watching YouTube. You know, influencers, they don't use their hands, but in reality, a lot of people use their fingers to do their makeup. They use their hands. And I like to use my fingers to do my concealer. I like to use my fingers to tap out the edges of my eyeshadow, and that really helps blend it together without having to really go in and use a brush to blend. All right. Now I'm going to use my finger, and I'm going to do the inner corner with this pretty shade right here. Sometimes I find that shimmer shades, they do better when you use your finger. Just putting that down and blending that up and into that tannish shade. It's okay if you go over it a little. Now, this is a very subtle shimmer. If you wanted to intensify it, you could put it on a brush and spray the brush with your setting spray, and that would just intensify that shimmer. But I kind of like how it's subtle right now. Back in just with that tan shade, just a little. And then that deep transition color again, just to deepen that back up. All right. Wet n Wild also has these awesome liquid catsuit shimmering eyeshadows. Now, if you really wanted a pop of shimmer, these are great. I'm gonna swatch this one right here for you to see. This is their shade Cashmere Love. I mean, you can see it's this beautiful, like brownie, champagne-y shimmer. Beautiful. I think I might actually do a little bit of that right here in the inner corner and use my finger to blend it out just to give it a little more shimmer. You do have to work fast with these shimmers. These are very similar to like the Stila liquid eyeshadows. These are just a more affordable option. See what that did? That just brought a beautiful shimmer, brightened up that inner corner just a little bit. I am gonna take my brush, go back in, and just lightly buff over the edge of that shimmer. Okay, bring that up here a little. There we go. All right. I'm gonna go back and clean up the edges real quick. Just taking my concealer brush and patting the edge. It's just clearing it up, blurring it just a little. I'm gonna take the highlight side and just do a smidge right there to really help blend that out. All right, see what that did? Beautiful. All right, well, my face is almost done here. I don't have a brow product for them, but I am gonna use one of the eyeshadows to just kind of give my brows some definition. I think I'm gonna use the Rosé in the Air. And I think I'm gonna take a little bit of this top transition. I'm just dabbing this little brush in there. This is quick. Brows are my least favorite part, as you all know. I mentioned that in another one of my videos. So I just try to keep it simple. I do have a spoolie that I use sometimes, but for this effect, you can use a brush. I do have a brush, but I have this in front of me for the moment, and this is actually working pretty well. Just using my finger, going over the edges so it's not too crazy. And that's depositing a really nice amount of color, not too much, but definitely doing what I want it to do. Just filling in, slight buff. All right, boom, brows are done. If any of you watch Manny MUA, he is an influencer on YouTube. Every time he does his brows, he sings this song afterwards. And, you know, I think it's hilarious. So when I do my Inspired by him, I'm gonna sing that song. All right, so now I'm gonna move into real quick, actually, I'm going to spray my face with the setting spray before I do my liquid products, my mascara and my lipstick, just because, you know, when you do your mascara and then set your face, it's wet on wet, and that can cause some transfer, and my eyelashes are very long, so I don't need help with the transfer. It already does that on its own. So love setting spray. All right, fan that down, dry it up. So I'm gonna go in with my lipstick. That's still drying, but it's mostly dry. I'm gonna use the lip liner and lay down the mauves. Wet n Wild has amazing lip products. Their bullets, their lip liners are great. They have liquid lips that last a really long time. Liquid lipsticks do dry out your lips a little bit, so just be wary of that. But if you're looking for an affordable liquid lipstick that's gonna wear a long time, Wet n Wild's got you. I'm trying to be better about not blocking you with the mirror. See, I filled in my lips with the lip liner. The reason I do that is because when I'm wearing lipstick over top, as it starts to fade, the color will remain because I filled it in with my lip liner. All right, Lay Down the Mauves is one of my favorite lip liners. So I think today I'm gonna go in with a bullet lipstick. Here is an example of the liquid lipsticks. It's their liquid catsuits. This is in the shade Give Me Mocha, one of my favorite shades. That goes well with Lay Down the Mauves lip liner. They also have these liquid catsuit high shine lipsticks. This is Cedar Later. I love this. I'm gonna wear this over top of the lipstick. This bullet lip that I'm gonna wear today is Bare It All. This is one of their matte shades. This is slightly pink. A really beautiful pinky brown. Goes over that Lay Down the Mauves beautifully, blends in beautifully. I'm gonna go over top with this high shine. This is like a highly pigmented gloss. They call it a lipstick, but to me it's just a lip gloss that's just full of pigment. Blending that in. I do take my finger just to blend everything in together. Now I'm gonna go over the edge here. All right, almost done. All right, for mascara, I'm going in with the Mega Volume Mascara. I've never tried their mascaras before, so this is a first impression. Oh wow, look at that wand, it's big. Hopefully it doesn't smudge or transfer throughout the day. Oh, there it goes, already transferred. That was my fault though. So I'm just gonna stick with the top here, away where I smudged to rub away. I didn't quite let that dry all the way. I'm kind of in a rush though, so just gonna fix it up as best as I can. I'm not too worried about it. It doesn't look too bad. There, that's not too bad now. All right, I'm gonna go back in with the second layer. About the day, hopefully it doesn't flake off. These are all things that I'm looking for with mascara. I'm not super crazy about look bad, at least. It is lifting a little. Pretty good at separating though, I'll give it that. It's separating more than it is lifting on me. All right, so gonna give myself a very light spray. I'm going to just do a little patting in here. Just assessing the situation, doing some last minute tweaks that I feel necessary. So this is a full face of Wet n Wild. I will do some check-ins today. I'm gonna be outside, so I will do a check-in so that you can see it's hot here where I live, so hopefully none of this will melt off. So we'll do a check-in there so you can see how the makeup is wearing, and then I'll do a check-in at the end of the day so that you can see how my full face wore throughout the day. So what I'm looking for is, you know, how well the foundation wears, the powders, what goes on with that mascara, especially since that's the first time I'm trying it. Obviously with lips, I will probably have to reapply lips because I will be eating and drinking, you know. Unless you're using a very heavy liquid lip with nothing on top, most times there won't be transfer when it comes to that. But with bullets, you do need to reapply. And I am going to see how well that setting spray wore as a primer. So this is the look, and I will check back in shortly. All right, so this is my first check-in. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. You can see I'm already having some transfer from the mascara. I have been wearing a mask, so it has worn off a little bit here for the foundation, but that's okay, you know. You can't really help it with it wearing off with the foundation because of the mask, but no wearing off here from where it was holding. None really down there. But so far it's holding up okay. Looks a little cakey up here on my forehead, but I do have a lot of lines on my forehead. But overall, the complexion kind of looks good. I'm just noticing up here and right here and the nose. So I will check back in a little while. So here we are at our final check-in. We're gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see there's some breaking up here on my nose, a little bit here. This is from my mask, but here it is breaking up a little bit. You can see some transfer from the mascara. But overall, sorry, trying not to get to the shadow in, the complexion looks pretty good, at least on the whole of my face here. The powder didn't wear up here on my forehead. You know, it looks pretty decent on the whole of my face. It's just here on my nose and here where the transfer of the eye, where the mascara is. But overall, besides those things, subscribe to my channel. I'd love for you to join the family here. If you would like to see something in a video coming up, please comment down below because I'm going to try to include all of your questions in